After an amazing inaugural season, the Los Angeles Valiant came into Season 2 with high hopes of a repeat performance, but started off to an 0-7 performance. After that, they got rid of their head coach, being in packing 10, and were able to finish with a solid record in the next 3 stages, but it wasn't enough to make the playoffs. Coming to Stage 3, they knew they needed more to become a great team, and so they not only changed their roster, but their uniforms. But obviously that probably won't affect their on-field performance very much, so let's get into these rosters. First off, they got rid of everybody. This team's in full rebuild mode. I'm sure everybody's heard about this already, but they got rid of Izuyaki last season in July. So I think that was a late season trade if I remember correctly. So that he's gone, even though he was on the team for a while, over a year. And then in the off season just now, they lost Space, Kareev, Agilities, Fact Fiction, and Custa. And oh boy, that's a big bunch of names. That's almost an entire roster of people who are all basically good enough to be in the Overwatch League. So, yeah, we'll start from the bottom here. Space going to the Gladiators. I think he was an exceptional off-tank, and that'll be a big hit to the Gladiators. Kareev, honestly, one of my favorite supports in the entire league. He's in the Toronto Defiant now. And Agilities, pretty solid DPS. I honestly don't know. I won't be able to honestly say. I didn't watch him specifically enough to know how good he is, but I mean, obviously he has a good reputation. So I'm going to say that's also a really big pickup for the Toronto Defiant. And then Fact Fiction, a lot of talk about him being as a tank, and he's still not on a team. So that kind of shows maybe even if he had the experience, it was okay for them to go with someone new. But we'll get to that in a bit. And then of course Custa retired. I was really sad about that. I love watching him in the previous season, and he was one of my favorite players. So I'm sad he retired. But it's also going to be really cool to be able to watch him on the caster's desk. And they also lost Slur, but he joined in October and left in October 31st, for that matter, and then left in January. So he was barely there for 3 months. Of course, never played for the team. And so yeah, they lost a lot of guys, which is a shame. They had a pretty... I don't know, can you say they had a solid core though? Because they did awful last season. They went 4-3 in stage 4, which is a 2-2-2 rollock. But I want to make sure we point out the importance of the new coach as well. They had Moon as their coach, and then they started off 0-7 last season, and they kicked him out. Brought in Packing 10, who was given the credit for the Boston Uprising's first season. And after he left, they went, I think it was 12-9, or after they brought in the new coach. So that's a pretty solid start to build off of. So honestly, you probably could have kept this team together and added a few pieces, and probably made the playoffs. But obviously, if Cuss is retiring anyway, and you have to worry about everybody else negotiating contracts, whatever it is, it's tough to keep it together. And so they went full rebuild, and a lot of people are doubting these guys' abilities. So let's get into it. They have KSF and KSP as 2 new DPS, and yeah, everybody's talking about that already. There's going to be lots of casting problems. Honestly, I am not sure which is which at the moment. I was just reading an article or whatever, but man, it's tough. So yeah, KSP is the one that's everyone's excited about the most. I'll read a quote here from the Overwatch League's article on the LA Valiant roster. KSP promises to give the Valiant what Corey did for the Washington Justice. And so that'd be really cool. Obviously, losing Agilities, and then you had Soon at one point, and so it's a bit rough losing all those DPS consistently. And so they're hoping that KSP will come in, be a shutdown DPS player, and also hopefully stay for all, be a core piece to build around once this rebuild's over. So that's exciting that he's there. He's he had some success in the Overwatch Contenders North America West with Excelsior 2. They got 2nd place in Season 2 of that, and 5th and 6th in the Gauntlet. So that's pretty cool. He'll be exciting to watch. I'll just say now, as a whole, these guys aren't expected to be great, but at the moment, but they definitely have potential. But there's a difference between potential and how you perform this season. So we'll see how he can do. I hope he'll do well. And then KSF, his partner, he did really well in with the Valiant. He has 3rd and 4th in the inaugural season playoffs, and then 3rd and 4th in the 2019 Stage 3 playoffs, and then 1st with the Overwatch World Cup. So that's really cool. That's two successful DPS who do have some success historically, even if they're not known to be the greatest. They've shown they can do it in like intense situations, which is really cool. And then you have your third DPS, Shax, and I think he's all right, right? Like, I don't think there's anything too wrong with that. I just don't think he's gonna be amazing, and I don't think he'll get as much starting time as the other guys. Solid backup though. And then the big problem comes in with the tanks. You have McGravy, Dreamer, and Gig, and yeah, this is where the team is expected to be pretty bad. Like, of all the positions, the other ones are solid-ish enough, but there's a lot of worry about this tank line kind of just falling apart and not being able to keep the team together, even if the other players do end up being decent. So yeah, they don't have much historical, like, they haven't really proven themselves, I guess you could say, right? At the high levels. Let's see, McGravy, he has no... Oh no, it's just... Okay. I was gonna say, I was looking at the wrong page. It was showing a bunch of history about him. I know a lot of them had that. So yeah, he was on Envy, where they got 5th through 8th last season. And before that, it looks like he's had some decent success in very minor tournaments. But in the majors, he was alright with Envision Esports and Team Envy. But nothing super spectacular. And then Dreamer, he's first in some minor tournaments again. But he got 3rd and 4th with the Sydney Drop Bears. That's definitely my favorite Australian contenders team. I never got to watch them much, but whenever they're on, I was excited. I love that name. They got 3rd to 4th last season. I don't know how great Australian contenders is, but again, nothing crazy like the World Cup or any Overwatch League experience. And Gig, he was with the XL2, and he got 5th through 6th in the Gauntlet with them, and 3rd place in the Gauntlet tiebreaker. And North America West, they got 2nd. So again, he's had some decent success in contenders. I mean, yeah, he got 2nd place once, and the next time he got 5th or 6th in the so not bad, but that doesn't really mean they're going to translate well to the Overwatch League, and especially what other people are saying, they look pretty shaky. They're not like what got those teams to those places. So that's a bit worrisome. But then we talk about the supports, and that's where I get excited. Lastro, coming from Skyfox, is my favorite contenders team. I'm so excited about this. Now, they're all right. They got 2nd in Trials, and then 3rd through 4th in Season 1, and then 5th through 6th in Season 2. So again, not a very great history, I guess, and especially since it's not on one of the biggest stages. But there is a lot of talk about him. There are a ton of comparisons to him, like kind of like the potential to be a Jonak or someone like that, where you're kind of like you could get you're carrying the team basically. And so, again, this team is definitely in rebuild mode where everyone's kind of potential. And so that's kind of worrisome because even your best players who you might keep for a while, they're not going to be there yet. No one's talking about the team, oh yeah, this guy's so good. They're saying, oh, this guy could be so good one day. So there's a lot of worry about this team being great. And almost every preview I've seen has these guys towards the bottom of their power rankings. And I think I'd have to agree. I don't think they're going to tank like 20th, though. I don't see them being that bad. I think there's definitely potential in this team, but I think there's some realized potential as well, like KSF, KSP, and Shax. That's a good DPS duo. You can get some substitutions in there, too, if some people are like specializing on whatever character. And I like Lastro and Rain. I don't think that's a bad support line. I don't know if I ever mentioned Rain, but he was on the Mayhem last season and got 20th with them, of course. But before that, he had some decent success with O2 Blast. He got 2nd in Season 1 of Korea Contenders. So I think you have a decent support line and decent DPS. Not great. Not good enough to make the playoffs right now, but solid. And so if this tank line's really as incompetent as everyone says they are, then I think we could be in trouble. But if they're not, I think this team could not be bottom 5. I think they might make 15th, 14th. But that's obviously if they realize their potential and aren't absolute garbage. So I'm going to say for now they'd probably be around 18th, 17th in my power rankings. But I'm excited to watch them. I love watching young teams. And to me, this doesn't feel like a garbage, bring in the budget money picks. This isn't like that kind of roster. This feels like a building for the future young prospects. You know what I mean? There's just something about these guys. I think they all have good potential, at least the ones I've watched. And the reputation about the ones I haven't watched very much. But KSP, I'm going to be excited because he's the young prodigy, and Lastro, he's from one of my favorite contenders teams, so I'm going to be excited to watch them specifically. And of course, maybe it'll be fun to see if this Taglight is really bad and how badly they get walked on. But anyways, the season starts soon, guys. I've been Emrat. Thanks for watching.